Mr. Vivek Sarabhai has about 28 plus years of experience. He has served in varied industries like P&G, Coke, Baxter, Mondelez. His experience is strong in supply chain management, strategic sourcing, and procurement, customer service as well. Now, may I now request Mr. Vivek to give his insights on how FMCG, one more sector, would like to look at the challenges.
Hi, everybody, and I hope everybody is safe. Thank you, Anupam and Manish, to give me this opportunity to talk to all of you. Am I audible? I just want to check that first.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So what I will, I mean, I'm not going to say which has already been said. So what I thought was that I will share my experiences of handling this crisis. And while being in Middle East and Africa, so that you know, it's just more of an experience sharing in terms of how we did things and how we are doing things now. So what we did was that we felt that this disruption will be in three phases. The first phase will be what I call initial shock. Just to give you an analogy, that when you play cricket, you go into bat and you find that in the first over 4 wickets are down. So you're 4 for 0. So that's the kind of situation you are in, where whatever plans you are having, they are no more valid. So I think that's the first realization, very unemotional, but a courageous one to take, that the earlier you believe that your current plans are no more valid, the better is your ability to manage the shock. So that's the first phase of initial shock. It shows in more of a supply disruption, where you are really scrambling for, first you think my raw materials will not come, sometimes you feel my customers will not accept goods. But I think if I have to narrow it down, the two things which are very crucial were people, safety, and especially people in logistics and manufacturing. So visualizing scenario like that, because we are in food business, that if one person contacts coronavirus, we will have to shut our manufacturing line. We will not have trucks. We might produce, but if we don't have a driver, we will not be able to supply. So I think that's where the first action starts, that how do you take care of the people. The second phase, which I think is like juxtaposed to the initial one, is what I call unpredictable volatility. Now it's a more of an oxymoron, but already we know that volatility is there in demand or supply, but at this time it's extremely unpredictable. Now it will appear first in the form of, again, supply disruption, but again it will start to show you that the demand is starting to become a bit unpredictable. So what we experienced was that one of our categories started to grow. So we had a huge demand expansion, while one of the categories started to contract. So we had a huge demand contraction. So we were not sure what to do. And I think in this stage, our focus then became that how do we manage cash? Because cash was probably the most important element in the P&L. Normally, large multinational companies like us, we normally have KPIs to manage cash, but we don't manage cash as foremost KPI. But I think in this stage, as we are right now in, cash has become the most important KPI. So we are talking to customers, we are talking to suppliers to manage our sales, sales outstandings and account payables. And that's also creating a bit of a relationship challenge sometimes. But I think because everybody is in this boat together, so people are a bit compassionate towards it. The third one, which I think is yet to come, is what I think where majority of the work will lie, is what I call unpredictable stability. So the stability itself will be unpredictable going forward. And I think every fellow panelist have said that coronavirus is here to stay as our guest. So how do you manage this guest? What will be the shape of recovery? Will it be V, U, V, W? I mean, all those kind of alphabets have started to come in. It will be contactless economy. So there are a lot of jargons which are also coming now. But I think it's important to understand today that whether our plans, which were there earlier anyway, which they don't exist anymore, but how do we make different scenarios for different recovery cycles. And I think people, in my view, who will do this job well will eventually be the winner. Now, some of the suggestions which I would make here to everybody is that there are certain principles with which, or values with which, if you operate, there's a likely chance of we coming out of it in a good way. The first one being that all of us will have to make short-term decisions. But how do we make sure that the decisions taken in the immediate and short term doesn't become an enemy in the long term for us? Because most of the time you'll find that in future, I'm just trying to take all of you into future, you'll find that some of the decisions which we have taken, they were not good in the short term. For example, telling a warehouse operator that cut down your management fee. I've been hearing that this is the way a lot of people are reacting. Cut down rents, cut down people. Now they are all right in the short term. I'm not disputing it, but what is the implication in the long term? If somebody has that view, it will be good. So while you negotiate or interact with the people, you can actually make that view clear to everybody. So I think that's one value which I would say is very important. I think the second one is empower and decentralize as much as you can. So things will not, I mean, even if the CEO takes a decision, it will not be better than somebody on the ground taking that decision. So it's better for the top leadership to govern, be absolutely on top of it, because at these times you need to be leading from the front. But the empowerment and decentralization of the decision making should be absolutely clear. So a factory manager should be able to hire a bus to get its manufacturing folks into the plant, doesn't need a higher level approval. Similarly, a logistic guy can actually hire a truck or give an incentive to the driver without checking with the senior person in the company. I mean, if you can get into that kind of decision making, that'd be much better. And I think overall, as business leaders, all of us will need to be tolerant to honest mistakes, because mistakes will happen. I mean, there is no way anybody can say that I will take the right decision. So I think that's where everybody will have to be a bit clear while empowering and decentralization, that we'll be honest. If you're committing an honest mistake, don't worry about it. Another one, which is, I think the biggest. I mean, somebody said, I think Unmesh said that we are probably all of us are going 2 or 3 years back in time, uh, and that's the kind of P&L shape our organizations will have. I personally feel it could be more than 2 and 5 years, because we will get into recession. There will be some industries which will absolutely have a catastrophic fall, and they will be more of a high value adding industry. So the fall on GDP will be more. There could be employment issues. So overall recession will be much more. So I think it could be more than 2 or 3 years back in time. And therefore, how do you take this opportunity to prioritize and choose innovative ideas carefully and create a robust system? Now, just to give you one example around it is, everybody is saying, and I'm reading so much of material available today, that digitalization will happen. But digitalization is without a creating of an enabling ecosystem will fall flat on the face. So a lot of organizations have put digitalization in people, teams, but if you go into depth, most of the organizations have not been able to derive the value. So you have to be very clear which area to digitalize, and then resource it adequately across the organization so that it is getting embedded in the right way. The last caveat I would say is, and this was my experience in Middle East and Africa when I was in 2017, I mean, everybody is saying that automation will happen, we will be more dependent on IT, digitalization, but one of the things which we should be very, very careful, and while moving into this direction, is how do we make data secure? It's very, very crucial. We experienced a malware attack back in June of 2017 globally. All of our invoicing got stopped globally, and we lost more than $1 billion to $2 billion. I mean, I think it was $1.5 billion of sales we lost in a matter of 3 to 4 days. It took us 3 to 4 days to come back into a live mode. So I think when we move into this direction, we have to be absolutely cognizant of the fact that how do we build data security? How do we build more robust technology on the IT side? So that, imagine today if IT attack happens in COVID world, it would be a catastrophe. So I think just a last point, concluding point from my side is, go into IT. That's the way it should be. Go into blockchain. I mean, it should probably be one of the technologies which will really come up fast, but also have absolutely head around how do you make absolutely everything data secure and prioritize in the way that we channelize our resources and don't waste it. So I mean, that's from my side. That's my concluding remark. Over to you, Guru.